Welcome to Leadership, Love and Laughter, where we dive into the unspoken truths in life and business. I'm Natalie Potts.
And I'm Victoria Dioh.
Let's go!
Hi, welcome to Leadership, Love and Laughter. My name is Victoria Dioh and you are?
Natalie Potts.
There she is. And today, what we're talking about, Potts?
Fuck it moment.
Fuck it moments. What do we struggle with?
Well, I'm going to struggle with having to say to my mum that I saw on a podcast and go through, is that right to do? Should you be doing that? What will people think?
And well, put it this way: so I'm secretly a potty mouth, but I also, I am secretly a potty mouth, but also, I'll be honest. I also, when people swear too much, I'm like, is that all they've got in their vocabulary? So I'm like a whole contradiction of the moment. But we've all been there. We've all had it. We're adults here, and we want to talk about sort of like maybe things that other people aren't really talking about, and especially as business leaders, people who've been in corporate as well. Sometimes the perception is that you've got to have all your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
And we don't.
Yeah.
Right? We don't. And we need to really, we want to touch on that to normalize it and just bring it to the forefront and make it a comfortable thing. So it's not a thing, so that you can be honest with yourself, most importantly, and with others.
Yeah, it's so important. It just reminded me of someone I'm going to share actually. You know, Lizzie Goddard. And when we saw her speaking, she said about being a hot mess.
Yes.
Like that speech she did that day and that keynote speaker, it's just stayed with me again about sometimes when I'm having to get everything ideally perfect for that. It's like, no, like hot mess, it's okay. I think that's a good thing to struggle on. Let's focus on that we struggle on.
Yeah. I remember that talk actually, and I remember everybody going, like nodding as she was talking and stuff. And, I remember her having cue cards and everybody else had been trying to memorize their talk and get on and trying to be brave and stuff. And she came in and she was like, yep, I've got my cards and stuff and I haven't finished. And literally there was nothing perfect. And yet it was perfect for the moment because everybody let down their guard and they were for once maybe honest with themselves. What's your biggest struggle?
My biggest struggle is I hate how we are expected to conform to so much, whether it's society's expectations, what people think. I almost feel sometimes, when I travel, you just see the world very differently. You think like, holy shit, like there's a big world out there. Yeah. There's so much opportunity. You should be so much more grateful for things as well every single day. I don't think people are, and I don't think people sometimes really realize how lucky they have it, because there's so much going on around us. We probably, like you say, we just don't have a good relationship with ourselves, and I think that society's expectations and stuff creates a huge freaking pressure. And I think that's in all realms. And I think even being in years ago in corporate world of you got to be this, you got to show up as this, and everybody thinks you're successful, and inside you're like, I just don't feel any of that. So I think that's one of the biggest struggles I find.
So do you know what? You're talking and I'm filling up. I've just realised that we should get tissues next time, because it's like I get really worked up and stuff when I think about this, because as somebody, like, I'm seen as very confident and very outgoing and stuff, but it's like, when you just think, oh God, sometimes life can be so tough, and it's not because life is tough, it's what we're creating as well. But I tell you, one of the things that I struggle with is being a single woman, running a business and trying to do it all. That just, and I'm sure there's mums out there who are going, join the club, try having 2 or 3 kids, and so you're going to cry.
Me?
Yeah, you look like you're about to cry.
No, I'm just like, oh shit, yeah, she's right.
Yeah,
it's thinking about your own with that. But then I think that's, if I look at the depths of what I'm saying with expectations, is like my life, like I love business, and because I'm nearly, people's expectations, you're nearly 40, you've not got kids yet, and or the fact that I go to gym and it's all right for you, and it's like that. It's like, but that's not the life I want to have, or that I've created, or that I want to create.
Yeah.
And I think that's a point of like just giving yourself a bit of it's okay, and just a bit of like we said last time before, like but let it go and release on stuff like it's not life I want. I don't want that.
Yeah. It's do you know what? It's funny because, and I hear what you're saying, and I believe that I believe that we can have whatever life we want. You have to create it, and but something's got to give.
Yeah.
Right. Something's got to give. So, for example, I love living on my own. I love it. Like, I love walking to my house and knowing that nobody else is going to walk through that door. I do, almost probably to my detriment.
I think we're both very comfortable with me time.
Yeah, too comfortable. And yet, when I run my business, I feel like I'm a thermostat, right? Like, I literally, like, there's times when I've said to you, well, I can't eat because if I'm eating, then I'm not working.
Yep.
And if I'm working, then I'm not doing the laundry. And if I'm doing the laundry, then I'm not, like, literally it's one of those things. And I'm all for delegating and stuff. And, you know, once in a while I'll bring my cleaner in and she'll do some work. It's just not the same as when you do it. And there's only so much you have to do. And it actually made me, this week, I took some time out because things were just mounting up, and I was like, listen, you have to do what you preach, you know, to the others. And I took 3 days, had a complete downtime. I didn't speak to anybody, didn't pick up the phone, and I literally went through this whole process. And what came out of it was, not only did I make a lot of money in the business, but also I decided that I'm going to invest that money. I was like, I'm going to invest that money and I'm going to do something that's going to help me propel my business and help me. And I literally went and just hired a VA.
What's coming to mind is just like, it's like the compound effect, right?
My God.
Great book, Darren Hardy, Compound Effect. And I can just see it as you're talking it, I can just see it like this.
It's so funny.
I can imagine you as well.
It's so funny you saying that, because it was something I was going to say earlier on about something else. And you said compound. I was like, that was the word I was going to say before. It is literally the compound effect. It was just like, literally just going, right, here's the problem. Take action. What needs to happen for that not to be a problem anymore?
Only leaders know this.
Yeah.
Like, only business leaders or leaders in business know this. You
have to learn it.
Teams of people, and I just think, how much more do they want to throw at my head? And I said to you this week, like, where my head's been like, if you hit, like, it literally feels like it's concrete. And if you hit me, I probably wouldn't feel a thing. Because stuff has just been gone. And I've done that. But even when I think back to people, and I used to think, like, they know it's just me, yeah?
Yeah.
And again, like, or you're on your own in your business and everything, and it's like, that's an isolation element. And I think lockdown taught me the difference between isolation and loneliness, for sure. And again, very different conversations probably from this. But first of all, look, I adore always your vulnerability with sharing that as well, because it's important you do that, to share for others, like, it's okay. And I think that lots of what we discuss on this podcast, I think, again, where we said about normalising things, I think we find it very natural and quite easy to do. But for lots of people, it can be a bit like, this isn't. And for us, it's like, yeah, but it's just what we do. But it's not. Like, this is a big thing for lots of people to talk about things openly, to even think that others think these things and share them. It's huge, and it's okay to do that. Yeah.
And also to realise as well that if we're going through it, then somebody else is going through it as well. And to normalise it, and to make so that you don't 100%. Feel like a freak and stuff and everything else.
Oh, I hate that word.
Freak.
Yeah, that's what we called it one time, and I didn't like it.
Did you not? What did you do? What was your reaction?
You can imagine, that's why you asked for my reaction. Like, what? How do you think?
Can I just say, I love your reactions and stuff. It's like
always on my face. I've always been told that in meetings.
Yeah.
I'd be sitting there and be like, what do you think? And I'd be like, wow.
I love it. So what else do you struggle with? What else is an effort moment, or whatever you want to lean into?
I think about there's a certain of level of pressure I put on myself, which is it's just hard. Like, it's always a moment of like enough and stuff like that. I've always got to be going for the next thing. like feeling that there's a pressure I put on myself, the pressure to be all the hats, and also the fact that like I'm not even a mum. And I think I said it on to a mastermind I'm in the other day, or like a lovely group I'm in, but I said like I can't empathise because I'm not a mum with what you've got going on. But I sometimes feel that like that's a bit of a, she doesn't get it, but like it's just because I haven't doesn't mean I haven't got the same emotions in a different way or something, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't mean that your time's not been taken up by something else.
Right, or that it doesn't matter, or or mean, you know, or have as much value.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, some people are very brash, you don't get it. It's like, okay.
I get it. I get where a mum could come from. So, for example, like my sister's got 4 kids.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how she did it. And they're 4 kids, and there's 9 months between every single one, except the twins. Except the twins. And what's really obvious to me is, whilst we can take or leave some of the pressures in life, as a mum, you've got a human being, you haven't got a choice. So you have to be there. Like, you know, there's times when I can just go, you know, I'm just going to take a duvet day. And so it doesn't happen often, but, you know, to just go, do you know what? I'm not going to show up today in my business. I'm just going to sleep and, you know, heal myself. As a mum, you can't. So I get it when mums say that, because I think they're coming in from the humane perspective more than everything else. But for me, it's more about having to be everything to everybody. And I experienced this recently. We had a family emergency recently, and I was on the phone trying to sort things out and stuff, and things were escalating. And I remember speaking to my brother-in-law. My brother was just laughing, going, trying to sort everything out again. I was like, it's a good thing I didn't have kids then, isn't it? I was like, it's a good thing I don't have kids. I said, where am I going to get the time to sort this out and this out and this out? I'm trying to be everything. I'm not so much that now, but a few years ago, I was everything to everybody. But I've made the conscious decision, especially since lockdown, to move a lot of people out of my life. A lot of people that don't nurture me, and I don't nurture them. I've made a point of just going, do you know what? We've had our time, and that's okay.
I think that like I tolerate less crap.
Yeah.
Now. I just don't have the time and space for it. I don't know. No. And sometimes that's not always probably relayed in the right way, but there has to be a bit where, again, like, we don't overthink stuff. And I think sometimes we think it's selfish. I talk a lot about this in the fitness stuff I do and with work, that, you know, we think it's selfish to put ourselves first. And I say, like, I time block my week very, like, strategy wise. How do I simply do it? I put myself first every single week. Like, when's my fitness? When's my time out for me? When's my time out of Tom? When am I seeing my parents, my family, my friends? Those are key things. And in business, and I was very much the other way with. And that's probably why I was at the last points of not liking corporate world, was that was always a priority, always over everything else, never me, never family and stuff. And I sacrificed stuff, and I missed out on stuff. And I choose a life and create life. I don't want that life. Yeah. I think coming back to you with the emotional part a little bit earlier, I just want to pick up with you. What if I was to put like a coaching hat on and I say I had my magic wand? Hate that question.
Big coach.
But I never ask me that. Out of 10, where'd you sit? I cannot bear it. And also,
out of 10, where do you sit now?
Well, I love the question why, which always is thrown out by a very, you know, like, and rightly so to a degree, but it's how we say why.
Yeah.
But if I was to have that magic wand or whatever. You saying it's very hard to be a singleton, own a business, everything as you were sharing with us. What, if I could change anything, then with a magic wand, would you change right now with that, if anything then?
So I've already created it. I've brought somebody into the business who I'm really happy with. Yeah. And it's funny because I believe that I've really manifested this person. So I keep hitting this. But so I think I've got it, but it was always about bringing in somebody.
Think or know?
Sorry?
How do you think or know that you've got it?
How do I think or know? So this is where it comes to using your intuition.
Right.
Right? Sort of like really delving in and not using your wound or your lack to bring something in. So for example, most people listening to this may think that I'm going, oh, well, I need to meet somebody. You know, if I meet somebody and stuff, then that's what it's not about that. It's about it's about the quality of what would help me move forward.
Okay.
So I've been thinking about this for ages. Actually, I've been working on this for about 2 and a bit years, and I've known who I wanted to bring in. They weren't available, and then it's taken me up until last year to understand what I needed in the business. So initially I was going with what everybody else wanted, which was a VA, and then at the end of it I was like, actually that's not what I need. I was like, I need, and otherwise other people would be like, oh well, you need an OBM, which is like an organizational business manager. I was like, I know that's not what I need. And I tried to sort of like flirt with one of those, and I was like, no, that's not what I need. And I just needed somebody who I could talk business with, like a team member who you can go, what we're working on today, what we're looking at, this is what we're thinking about, and really sort of like creating that, rather than somebody who just does what I tell them to do. As if I needed somebody to be, I need almost like a business buddy. Like if you didn't have a job, if you could just get rid of your business, then you'd be perfect for the job and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I pretty much do have that job. You just don't pay me for it. Which people will laugh at and know if they've seen us together, where I hold the doors open, bless, even Jamie here. I've had to just see how demanding you are.
Don't make me giggle. You always make me laugh when you talk about that.
I know.
But it's
a joke. Like, I'm joking. But
and the person I brought in isn't that savvy, but they've got the support around them to actually help me to move the business forward. But it's taken me to get out of my head.
Yeah.
And into my heart.
Hang on though, right? Because the emotional part of getting, like, feeling the tears around that as well. I'm not going to teach you to suck eggs. You've done the Tony Robbins stuff more than me. What's the emotion caught up with that and the feeling around that though?
The emotion it's almost like it's the emotion of what was,
right? And
it's very recent of hiring this person as well,
right?
So you're not. It's not going to change automatically.
Yeah.
But
what does it feel like though? What's the difference? It now feels like now you've made that decision, or you're going on that part of
it's amazing.
Actually now it's the VA, it's this.
It's amazing. Like going to bed at night and knowing that the posts are going to go out, but well thought posts. Knowing that they know exactly what they need to do and move forward with it. Looking at our messaging, it's taken a long time to sort of like work on the messaging, and end of last year we kind of nailed it and stuff, and then last week it just hit, and then this week I'm like, we've got everything we need now and stuff to actually move forward. And here's the thing as well, it's like, because I've not been clear about my messaging, there's times when I go, I don't know what to say, and you can't shut me up. I mean, look at me, we're still talking and stuff, like I'll go, I don't know. I know I want to say, but I don't know how to put it across. And all of a sudden that's gone, and that makes me emotional because I know that a lot of time has been wasted. However, I also look at it as, actually, I'd rather not get it right, not perfect, but I just know that what's going to go out now has got more substance to it, and it's going to speak to the people that need to hear it, if that makes sense. So it's emotion around, it's almost like delayed emotion, because at the time when it's happening, you're not crying. At the time when it's happening, you're not feeling the emotion. You're just going for it, going, we need to make this business work. We need to make this business work. And you're creating results, maybe not as great as what you want them to. And then boom, you go, do you know what, Vic? You need to take time out. You need to take 3 days and just go. And you don't know what's going to come out of those 3 days. But those 3 days on my own has created, it's been worth so much more.
I think, though, this is where it goes back to where I was sharing about you've got to have, like, being grateful in the moment type of thing. Like, it was all about fucking moments, but so, like, you've got to be probably more in a moment on where you're at with stuff, in terms of not giving yourself so much hard time all the time, and just being like, this is okay. Like I said to you this week, it's like, I've done this and this, and this has happened well. I can always be next. I need to enjoy this moment, in that I've worked really hard to get to this point. If I'd think back 18 months ago, would I see myself here? No. Right now it's like next part. And I think people are just, they're just, well, it wasn't this, it wasn't that, because they're comparing against other people's results or life and stuff. It's like, but with where you are, how does that feel? Now it's like epic. And then like just a feeling like just being like, that's amazing for me. That feels really good. And it's based on nothing else, anyone else's perceptions, experiences, just how I feel in that moment is important.
Yeah, I think the thing is though, it's like as human beings, it happens.
It does,
You do hit those moments. One of the reasons why I do gratitude every morning is because when I'm going through this, I'm not feeling those emotions, and that's okay, because you're moving forward and getting stuff done. But it's what's really important, and we're talking about emotions earlier on today, is that it's better to get it out whenever it is, to get it out than to keep it in.
And that's important because we noted down with this, talking about this, and we were thinking that that's how you have to be like, this is emotion, but then what this means as well.
Yeah.
And not everything can be that simple, or like it's got to be so logical. But it is about, again, it comes back to perspective, isn't it? And how you can choose to see things. Change the way you look at, and the things you look at change. Like Wayne Dioh has always stuck with me, that quote. And I think it's really powerful. So yeah, and I think like one of the things that completely gets people, if I ever do a VIP experience is I'll say, today you might learn nothing, or today you might walk away with nothing extra, and they look at me like you can just see like this.
What did I pay my money for?
Yeah, exactly that. Just like you, and I laugh in turn. I'm like, they're gonna love this point.
It just
but I'm
is.
like, that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's what I love, because again, we just, what am I getting from it? What's this? What's that? And it's like, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might be tomorrow, 10 years down the road, maybe never down the road. And I think again, like, that's just incredible. And good and bad things. I remember experiences from lots of coaches, mentors, PTs, everything in the past, and there's learning what I do want, what I don't want, and that still pops up in my head. This works really well. I can go for a run, and I always, the last part of my run when I'm doing outside is I will like sprint up my road, and every time I'm on that sprint, I hate the whole minute of it. But I will think of, there's 3 coaches that I've worked with in my in terms of fitness before, and every single one of those come in, and that's the types of things that I think, and that's powerful to me. That's when it's had an impact, and that's what I'm saying, that the investments and stuff, that's on a long period of time, but you don't always have to have that.
No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's funny because
it's giving space to things, right?
Yeah, here's the thing, right? It's like understanding. So a good example. There are times when I'll be sat in my office, and it hasn't happened in a long time, but I'll feel this emotion of dread. And it's just, and straight away I'm in a bad mood, right? Like, and I'm going, and I always ask myself, like, what started that? Like, where's that come from? And I always make sure that if I stop, so if I ever feel down or feel a kind of way, I will stop and I will trace back to what's happened. 9 times out of 10, it's energetic, where it's not even me. It could have been somebody walking down the street. They're feeling down. I've picked it up, being an empath, and I'm feeling down, but I'm thinking it's mine. So half the time, those emotions aren't even yours. And if they are yours, then you're not going to get rid of them. They're going to turn up at some point, a bit like today, where we talk about this and I'm going, oh my God, that's really hit me, because you know you've been struggling, but you've just kept on moving, because, and the honest truth is, when I address not my struggle, but the struggle, I'll go, well, I don't know what the answer is. So I always go, well, so what needs to happen next? And I just go for the next thing. And then I have moments like that where it's like, but then I go, but I've resolved it, which means I was on the right path anyway. But also, the struggle is real, like you say, when you're looking at what other people are doing. I mean, I did a vision board class 2 days ago, and it was really funny because my approach of vision boarding is very different. And these amazing women turned up, and they were like, oh my God, we're going to do a vision board. And by the end of it, they were going, wow. and then when they were looking at their vision board, it was like, that wasn't what I thought a vision board was, and stuff. But you know, when they're like, oh,
yeah.
And the whole intention was that when they did the vision board, that they would look at it every day, that they would think about it every day, and that it would resonate any day, and that it came from their soul, as opposed to a vision board where somebody goes, well, think of the 12, the wheel of life, and decide what you want, and go into a magazine and cut and paste and everything else. Yeah. So it's that whole coming away from the norm. Yes. The more you come away from the norm, the less you struggle.
Challenge status quo.
Final words?
I just want to bring it back a bit to the point of the calling it a fuck it moment. Like, for again to leave you with a go away and think about this for you. Like, my kind of what I was sharing about conforming to society's expectations and stuff, that comes probably a lot from my fuck it moment was for me poignantly in my life was saying I've had enough of the life I was having with corporate world, I want to leave. And that became because I was so bored of other people's expectations and then not meeting them and not feeling good enough. So what if you're in this place of limbo right now, or you're not quite sure what this means to you? Again, what we're expressing here is that's okay. Lean into it, let it be, let go, just see where it takes you. You don't have to have the answers yet, but you might have had it. It might be coming. Just think about these things, or like the whole what is your fuck it moment. I've not really been asked that before, so again, maybe we're inviting people to think like, what is yours?
Share it with us, but also here's the thing: have fun with it.
I think so.
Have fun with your fuck it moment,
because I could wrap so much stress and emotion and everything into it, whereas I'm like, it is what it is now, and I've moved on.
It is. Listen, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And stuff. So if you fuck it.
Thank you for listening. If you know someone who needs to hear this, please share it with them, and we would love you to subscribe. Remember, the insights shared only have value when you take action.